For now, please let's take a look at this moving video entitled One Butt, Two Seats, The Widening of America.
If you lived in these places, you'd be home by now.
Still a work in progress, but Rome wasn't built in a day. That's a bold comparison.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 fictional live-action TV towns.
Entering the town of Twin Peaks. It's 5 miles south of the Canadian border, 12 miles west of the state line. Never seen so many trees in my life.
For this list, we're not focusing on cities that are simply the backdrops for the shows they're on, but instead on those fictional live-action TV towns that are characters in their own right.
Get the hell out of here!
Number 10. Charming California, Sons of Anarchy. The aptly named town of Charming, California lacks its own police department and is home to one of the most notorious and dangerous motorcycle gangs in America.
Sons of Anarchy, the Redwood original, is here for you.
A pretty good match if you ask us. But despite its grungy exterior and somewhat dubious town leaders, Charming is very much a community, with an unofficial hierarchy keeping the town in order, and with all of its middle-class inhabitants pitching in and doing their best to keep the place running.
I'm gonna go find out.
We've built a place we can call home.
Number 9. Woodbury, Georgia, The Walking Dead.
Our governor set a strict curfew. Nobody out after dark. Noise and light are kept to the bare minimum. Armed guards on the fence and patrolling the perimeter to keep the biters away.
Previously a small town with a population of about 1,000 residents, Woodbury came under the control of a charismatic and ruthless dictator who called himself the governor following a zombie apocalypse.
Now, you're not prisoners here, you're guests. But if you want to leave, as I said, you're free to do so, but we don't open the gates past dusk. Draws too much attention.
Though it may seem like an idyllic hamlet at first glance, and a welcome respite from the reality of the outside world, Woodbury is not all it's cracked up to be. Unless you like watching gladiator-style matches between citizens and zombies. Number 8. New Caprica City, Battlestar Galactica.
Sam, you idiot! I've been looking for you everywhere!
New Caprica is a barren wasteland of a planet that is nearly uninhabitable. Ignoring that entirely, humans settled there and slowly built its capital, New Caprica City, into a place they could live. That is, if you don't mind muddy terrain that makes it tough to construct proper buildings, and if you don't mind getting sick because of the dank and frosty weather.
There's fluid in the lungs. It's probably pneumonia.
But of course, the evil Cylons promptly invaded, so residents had bigger things to worry about than a runny nose.
I always wanted you to see this place.
Number 7. Jericho, Kansas, Jericho.
This town belongs to all of us, and we must work together to survive.
After a devastating nuclear attack on the United States of America, pockets of civilization were sectioned off and left to fend for themselves. One such pocket is the small town of Jericho, Kansas, where the townspeople are just trying to rebuild and reconnect with other possible survivors.
Nice to meet you, Jake.
Me too.
However, the devastating effects of the nuclear fallout make connections with the outside world next to impossible. And the rising tensions coming from rival towns make Jericho less and less welcoming.
This isn't a fight about land. This is a fight for our very existence.
Number 6. Neptune, California, Veronica Mars.
Neptune, California, a town without a middle class.
As with any city, the charming town of Neptune is just a pretty face hiding a mysterious underbelly.
Vandalism? No. The only vandalism that happens in this town goes through me.
Though it's a beautiful coastal town in Southern California, the area is marked by a vast gap between its upper and lower class residents, which creates a distinct separation between the town's inhabitants. Crime and scandal abound in a place where the politics and law enforcement are controlled by a vain and uncaring upper crust.
Who wants a Rice Krispie treat?
Gee, Mom, you're the best.
And teenage super sleuths are left to save the day.
In about 5 minutes, people are going to start showing up for school. And unless you want your little business to be the first thing they see, you're going to tell me who gave you the roofies.
Movie number 1, Twilight.
We slowly pan up over a mossy log to see a deer drinking crystal clear water.
Number 5, Pawnee, Indiana, Parks and Recreation.
The town of Forks, Washington is exactly like Pawnee, except for the climate and the vampires.
Home to the hardworking men and women of the Parks and Recreation Department, Pawnee is a small town with somewhat outdated sensibilities.
Oh, hey, Tom, I'm having an A-list dinner party for Justin, and you, out of all my friends, come from the most distant and exotic land.
South Carolina?
Save it for the party.
The city's government and population are split down the middle between progressive and old-fashioned mindsets, both of which help to make it an eclectic area, and all of whom are colorful characters.
Turnip was the greatest cat ever, and I'd like to put his ashes in the time capsule.
For the last time, there will be no human or feline ashes in either one of the time capsules.
Except for Turnip. Except for Turnip.
If you can ignore the large holes in the ground and the crumbling infrastructures, Pawnee might just be the ideal place to live.
Well, I would like to respectfully say that any child should be able to play in any park, regardless of wealth or status.
This is Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Gary Cooper?
Agent Cooper.
Number 4, Twin Peaks, Washington, Twin Peaks. The town of Twin Peaks, Washington is notable for its role in the murder of a young homecoming queen.
Good Lord, Laura.
Laura Palmer.
But it's also got a diner with great pie and coffee,
I plan on writing an epic poem about this gorgeous pie.
a serviceable hotel, and it's not too far from the Canadian border, which is great if you're interested in visiting a north-of-the-border brothel or two. At first glance, the city is charming, old-fashioned, and upright. But it begins to show a dark and seedy underbelly as the series progresses.
Shelley.
Number 3, Smallville, Kansas, Smallville. Most famously the home of America's Big Blue Boy Scout.
He must have parents.
Well, if he does, they're definitely not from Kansas.
Smallville is the setting for many of the most important events in Superman's life. A perfect example of rural America, the town hasn't changed much in its contemporary incarnations.
Clark? Oh, jeez. Who did this to you?
Vast fields of corn, a thriving farm economy, and the occasional meteor shower help make this town a staple of comic book lore. And for the Clark Kent of this series, it's a place for him to defeat bad guys, deal with teen angst, and discover his superpowers one by one.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Number 2, Sunnydale, California, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Sun, trees, and good old-fashioned American values make this an ideal location for fun-loving teens. It also happens to sit on a hellmouth, a literal portal between Earth and Hell that attracts demons and all sorts of supernatural nonsense.
That's not what I'm looking for.
The fact that Sunnydale High School is located directly on the focal point between worlds only adds to the long list of woes this city's teen population must face.
You know, he gave me a hickey.
I got hungry on the way.
It's a good thing a vampire slayer decided to call Sunnydale home.
You're strong. I'm stronger.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
To not end. It's a bit bleak there, isn't it?
Oh, you wouldn't say that if you saw the residential part. It's the last word. And then another thing, the property is architect designed.
Me, I never could take to a bungalow.
How do you mean?
Well, not going upstairs to bed. Seems all wrong somehow.
Is this it? Is this the town?
This is it. This is Sicily.
Try to give you whiskey, but I never do.
Number 1. King's Landing, Game of Thrones.
Glad to see you're protecting the throne. How many king's asses have polished, I wonder?
The home of the monarch, King's Landing is the royal capital of the Seven Kingdoms and the continent of Westeros. Overlooking Blackwater Bay, the walled city is home to the rich and destitute alike.
Buy my fruit, my lord. Fresh fruit.
Originally founded by King Aegon I Targaryen 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and expanded under his ancestors, King's Landing is famously the site of the Iron Throne.
Treason is treason.
But it's also reputed for its far-reaching stench and deep corruption.
Corruption! Yes!
So we just as soon spend our time on the wall. Do you agree with our list?
Come across something don't make you miserable? Enjoy it.
What's your favorite fictional TV town?
Welcome to Woodbury.
For more epic top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
As a friend, I think that you should leave.